All right, guys, it's 11. Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal. I'm a customer success manager here, and I want to thank everyone for joining our advanced webinar today. If you can hear me, if you can see my screen clearly, go ahead and send me either a hey or a smiley face in the chat. Let's get pumped together. Let's do this. Awesome. Let's go. All right. So many smiling faces. I love it. What's up? What's up from Sweden? All right. Perfect. So just to run through a bit of an agenda for us today. So we'll be covering a few different boards here. So you'll see an HR high level board today, and I'll show you all the components of it. I'll also show you how you can work through leave management when people are trying to request time off, an onboarding board so you can make sure that everyone's up to date on what they're supposed to accomplish within the first days, weeks, or months of being at your organization, a recruitment pipeline that we're going to work from with two boards, and then some of the admin boards that can kind of help you keep track of those day-to-day special requests. And then at the very end, we're going to create a dashboard together. So you guys are the advanced group. So you pretty much have already seen the dashboards, but we're going to create one together, and I'm going to show you how some of those components can work for you to save you some time and so that you can see a high level overview. Then we'll knock down some resources, and then we'll have a 30-minute Q&A. I see that we have some really cool people sending in questions already to the Q&A. Just be sure, guys, if you have any questions at all, please be sure to put them in the Q&A. Don't put them in the chat. I won't be able to see them in the chat, unfortunately, but we're going to knock out as many questions as we physically can in the Q&A box. So leave all of your questions there. Cool? Awesome. Perfect, perfect. So let's go into monday.com. So you guys are all familiar with the platform at this point. And the first thing you usually see when you open up Monday is the inbox. Now, the inbox pretty much pulls from all of the boards that you have in your account, and it allows you to see at a glance things that were happening across the board. So if we go to our view options, we have the ability to see all updates in the organization, things that were mentioned to us, any bookmark updates, and we'll show you how you can get to these updates or how you can create them from your monday.com boards. All right. So if you guys are familiar with an HRS system, monday.com can pretty much replace some of those aspects such as employee documents, recruitment information, feedback. So whether you're a small or big company, you wouldn't necessarily need an HRS system when you can achieve the same necessities in monday.com. So what we'll do is that let's go over here to our left pane. And we'll see here that we have a bunch of different boards that we'll work from today that are grouped either by welfare, recruitment, or admin. And as you can see here, we also have a shareable and a private board. As you guys know, shareable boards are for external guests. So if you're working with any freelancers, or if you guys are working with a recruitment agency and you're working back and forth between candidates, you have the ability to create a shareable board, add those guys over here as guests by email, and then you can toggle and work together without them seeing everything that's happening in your account. Another thing you can do is create a private board. So this is just one example of a feedback process for, the 5 employees that you have, and you want to be able to make sure that this information is lock and key because feedback is very sensitive, and we don't want the entire staff to have access to everyone's feedback. We'll make that a private board, and now it's just locked down to the participants that are on this board. So we can always add in team members, remove their status, how we see fit, and then we're good to go from there. Okay, so the board that we're going to start off with today is this HR high level overview. So this board allows me to see the progression of all projects over the course of Q4. And as you can see in each of these groups, I have these broken down into the different folders that you'll see on the left hand side. So the line item here, onboarding, actually serves as a board on the lower level. But what we're essentially trying to see here is just the priority and the status and how much we've really gotten done over the course of this quarter. We can also see this broken down into timelines. So let's say if we've been onboarding users and we wanted to change this to not July 9th, I mean, that's not really realistic to do that in a month or in a day. What I can do is go here, and it opens up this timeline view. I can drag these dates out however long I want, and I'd be able to break down that information to either days, weeks, months, or years, and then choose the parameters that I want to see this by. So either by the timeline or do I want to see it by week? I had the possibility of putting it into Gantt mode. And then in my settings, I can also change how I want to group them by. So either by status or priority, and then I can see that there. Another thing I can do is either make it dark mode, which I really like, and this is just a special feature that I like, guys, and I can make it full screen. So if I just want to work on my timeline for today and kind of work through my workflow here, I have the ability to change those views to fit what my needs are. If you wanted to go back to that main table, you just go here to the view center here, go to main table, and voila, I'm back to normal. I see everything at a glance. So another thing we can see is that on top of these two columns, you'll see these little lock icons. So these pretty much allow me to set permissions on who can edit this information. If we're in HR, we deal with a lot of sensitive data. So if I'm a director and I want to have all the information only optimized by me, what I can do is click here in this little drop down, and I'll go to column permissions. I can either remove the restriction or create some permission settings. And then I can actually type in the names of the users that I have on my account and add in or remove people that I would like to only be able to edit this information. So the entire team won't have access to it, just me and a few other colleagues, so that we can pretty much optimize who gets to see what and who's optimizing what. Another cool thing you can do, guys, I'm pretty sure you know, is that you can assign people. So if you were looking to create some ownership for each of these initiatives and have the team pretty much on the same page with who's responsible for what and kind of delegate that information, you can create a person column and then just assign that user here or assign that team here so that everyone gets those notifications here in the bell together, or you'll receive it in email when things are updated on this board. Okay. So a last thing that we want to do on this high level board is to set an automation for our team that when we've created a project for the quarter, I want everyone to kind of be hyped about it, you know? So what we'll see up here is that we have both the integrations and the automations, and they're distinguished by this little plug and this little robot. So if we're looking for things that are internal, we want to create those notifications for our team, what we'll do is go to this little robot. As you can see here, we have an entire automation center where you can add in different if-then statements, or like we like to call them, actions that can pretty much keep your board on autopilot. But the one I want to show you guys today is that when a status changes to done, I want to notify everyone on this board that we've got some things done. So we'll say when status changes to done, what you'll see in notify is that we have the ability to create a special custom message for our team, whether we want to just type it in, or we can take some of these parameters down here and say, yay, another project, or if we want to get more specific, we'll delete this and we'll say, yay, another, and whatever the item is called in the books. And now it's going to notify our entire team. So as we can see here, I have the ability to notify me, either another team member, either the person that's assigned to it, the subscribers, or our entire team. It's pretty much whatever floats my boat. Okay, and I see a couple questions in the chat. Please be sure to put them in the Q&A. We'll rock them out, okay? Perfect. Awesome. So let's go down our workflow, and now we're going to go into our welfare folder. And essentially this consists of both our leave management and our onboarding. So for leave management, as an HR coordinator, managing leave is a huge part of allocating resources properly, okay? And being aware of who will be out during the month to make sure our resources are allocated properly is huge. So one thing you can do in monday.com is create a form for team members to submit their leave so that we can show these things at the line item and we can keep them organized that way. This is essentially something that we do at monday.com that I feel like would be great for you guys. And what you'll see is that we've created a form, and you can add in your logo here. If I click out of this, I can add it back. And you have the ability to either add in a form description so that the team understands what information is pertinent for everyone to be on the same page with their requests. You can add in different parameters in terms of name, when their start date is, end date, notes, etc. And if I see something that's grayed out that actually should be on this board, what I can do is click the little I, Now it makes it something that the team is going to see for this form. And I can also make it required so that any of this information I don't have to backtrack on and have this user, kind of go back and we have to have a conversation to get that information that we need. Okay. And you're probably asking yourself, well, how do we make this form? Like, how did we get here from this main table? And I'll show you. So what happens is that if we are on a board and we see whose start date, end date, note, etc., the columns that are on this board are essentially what's creating the form that will be sent out to the user. So if you wanted to add in any other parameters such as notes, or we wanted to add in any numbers, anything that's relevant to us, and for now we'll just say text, what we can do is add it to the board. And if we go back to the form, it's going to show me now that I have another text column on this board. So I can make this available. I can also choose to change the name of this to say any additional notes for us. And now this user will see this on this form. So if I wanted to share this out to my team, I would just click share form. It pulls up 2 links for me. I can always deactivate it when we're done with it and go back to my main table so that I can see this information. James, this is on the Pro plan. So if you guys are on the Pro plan currently, all of these features are available to you. So anything in terms of the different views, any of the advanced columns that you'll see in the column center, so super useful, or the team power-ups or the board power-ups, these are all most likely in your Pro plan, and a number of them are also in the standard plan. So just let me know what you're looking for in the Q&A, and I can definitely confirm for you. Okay. So another thing that we can do is if we say, I mean, we have all this information that we need, but we just need a little more. We need to get in contact with this person because we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So one thing you can do is click here into the start conversation. And what this does is open up pretty much an update section or a chat between you and the customer or you and the user. So if you wanted to write an update, as we see here, I've gotten in contact with Naomi. I have a few questions. Can we chat here? Now we can start a dialogue between ourselves. And as I said earlier, it's going to show up in 3 different ways. So if we have an update here, it's going to show up in the board level. It's also going to show up here in the notification bell saying that Naomi got back to me. And it's also going to show up in our inbox so that the user pretty much sees any time that we're trying to get in contact with them so nothing slips through the cracks. And if I wanted to check if she saw it, I can always hover over the little eye here, and then I can see that both myself and Naomi have been updated on what's going on. Okay. Another thing we can do, guys, on this leave management is still we can put things on autopilot. So a couple that I've set up so far are that when end date arrives, I want to notify the person that made that request. And then when a new item is created, I want to notify board subscribers. So if we're working on maybe 6 or 7 different boards or 100 different boards or just 2 boards, we still want to know what's going on. We want to make sure that anything that's happening on each of these boards, we're in place, we're notified, and that we can continue to work through our workflow and our process on the day-to-day. Another cool thing that I didn't create here, guys, but I just want to make note because we're getting a few questions about it, is that you can put in an approval process. So let's say if I wanted to say who, and then I wanted to create a status here and then make another person down the line for that approval, what I can do is set up in the automations dependencies. So we can set up either date or status dependencies to say that when the status changes to something, it notifies the next person down the line, so that anytime that one process relies on another person, we can make sure that it pretty much no one is out of the loop, and that the next person that's supposed to be in that approval will have the information to update properly. Okay. Awesome. So another thing that we manage in welfare is onboarding. So if you're looking to give employees a clear line of distinction on what the onboarding looks like for the first day, the first week, the first month, you can set milestones for them and their managers to show how well the teammate is doing. So here, these are actual managers here at monday.com. And what we see is that we have each of these people here at the top, and we have the different tasks lined here that's let us know, what they need for the first day, the first week before they start. So if Shahar is starting his first day and we want to set up a meeting with new team members, we can use the status column to keep track of anything that we have going on during their onboarding and make sure everyone's on the same page. So let's say we get down the line and all these things are kind of checked off. What we can do is also see that if things aren't completely green, or if some things are stuck or some things are working on it, we can choose the status to say this person is ready for the first day, or if they're not, and just kind of keep track of where everyone is down the line and make things fair across the board. Okay? We can also see here that you can assign members of the HR team and other departments to allow them to see who to turn to if they need new information. So I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar that on your first day, there's 100 things you need to know, and there's maybe 2 people that are helping you get onboarded. And it may be a bit complicated to know who to turn to for information. Another cool way you can utilize the people column is to assign those users so that users can always know who to get back to. And just to make sure you guys know, this will be sent out, this webinar, this recording will be sent to all users in about 2 hours after it's been rendered by Zoom. So no worries, we'll make sure that you're covered. Awesome. Another cool thing we can do here is that I'm pretty sure you guys use different tools to communicate. And if we want to make sure that we are getting the most out of our communication and that the team is up to date on everything, one thing that we use here is Slack. So when a status changes to done, notify the onboarding team. This essentially lets us get in contact with our HR team that we communicate with on the day-to-day through these different mediums. And this is just one example, but it allows us to see that monday.com has the power to integrate with your external tools to keep your workflow going and serve as a hub for all of your needs. Awesome. And I see someone was looking for us to review the leave management. We'll go over that again towards the end. We'll knock through some of these other boards, and then we'll we'll knock through those questions. Awesome. So between onboarding and managing leave, recruitment is one of the biggest responsibilities an HR team has to manage on the day-to-day. And if I'm wrong, guys, let me know. But I want to show you guys a way to seamlessly flow this workflow so that you pretty much aren't doing double work between these boards when trying to manage between any open applications that we have, anybody that's in review, anybody that we're sending offers. And we want to make sure that we're not kind of toggling between tapping our teammate and saying, hey, did you give this person an interview? Hey, have you done a phone screening? And we can keep it all in one view. So really cool things we're going to do on this board. What you'll see here is that for each of these groups, these are the different roles or positions that we're trying to fill here at our Fake Company Singer Foundation, right? And what we see is that we have their name, we have the position they're applying for, their cover letter, phone, any notes we want to put on the candidate. And then what's really cool about this board is that the status is actually a mover. And I'll show you how. So if we click into this status, we have in review, need to review, and unqualified. Now, what we've done for this is set up some automations that will have this board on autopilot. So a few that I want to mention are that when a status changes to in review, we want to notify the HR team always because we want to be in the loop. Another thing we can do is when status changes to unqualified, we've had a phone screening, they're not a right fit for us, but we want to make sure that we take this out of our immediate view. It's going to move to unqualified group. And then another thing that we're going to do, which is pretty much my favorite automation on this board, is when status changes to in review, we want to move this item to the recruitment pipeline board, and it's super cool. So what we're going to do is just to show you, and this information came from the forums, guys, like we did earlier. We created a bunch of different forums and blasted this out either on our website or on social media. And people have pretty much replied back to these forums and they filtered into these groups. Now, what happens is that if I have this person here who's applied for video editing and we kind of like them, you know, we want to take them to the next level. What we can do is when status changes to in review, what you'll see is that he's going to disappear from this board. So if I refresh Awesome. So I'm pretty sure you guys saw the disappearing. So it was Scarino. And if we go here to the recruitment pipeline, voila, we see this user here. So now what's happened is that all of that information that was on that other board for that one user is now in our recruitment pipeline with their cover letter, the position they were applying for. And in phone interview, we see that the next step in our cadence, already has this user labeled as in review. Another cool thing we can do from this recruitment pipeline is see an overall progress of how far this user has gone. So similar to sales, I mean, we're not sales, we're recruitment. We can see pretty much how far this user has gotten. If they're 60% of the way done, if they're 0% and we need to kind of jump on that, we have the ability to use the status columns to create this progress tracker. Now, what happens is that if we, the way we want to see this information is for all three of these. And if I go to my column settings, I can choose which statuses I want to display for the progress tracker. I can also choose what the percent is that I want to weigh this out, or I can just choose to distribute weight equally. But it pretty much depends on what your needs are. You can customize this however you see fit, add as many status columns as you would like, and kind of rock it out that way. Another thing you can do, guys, in the column settings, you can choose which labels are assigned as done. So if we have this as yellow and this is scheduled, but this also means that, they're kind of moving down the line, we can choose this to be another part of our settings in the progress tracker, and it's going to add that percent here for this candidate. Another cool thing we can do is put in any links for LinkedIn, and we can also put in any numbers in terms of the salary. Like we did on the other board, we can lock this information down to different column permissions, remove restrictions, or kind of choose who we want to add to this column. And we want to make it sensitive so that everyone in the organization isn't seeing what we're offering other users. This honestly not not things that we want to share amongst the group. Okay, so in the chat real quick, let me know what you're looking to accomplish with your HR boards in monday.com. Just give me like maybe a sentence or a couple words. Leave, yes. Tasks, PTO, holiday, yes. Onboarding, yes. So we're on track, guys. Thank you. I like this validation. We're on point with this. Awesome. Formulas. Oh, we're gonna hop into some formulas. Don't you worry. Perfect. All right, so we're spot on with this. Cool. So last couple boards that I want to show you guys before we hop into the dashboards really quick for about 2 minutes and then the Q&A is that we want to see an employee directory. So a couple cool things about this board is that I can pretty much see across our entire company who's a current employee, who's a consultant, any future new hires. But one cool thing that we've done with this board is add in a formula. So if we wanted to see the tenure of all of our employees over the course of the last couple years, as you can see, the Singer Foundation is a growing baby. The average tenure is only about 1.5, but don't you worry, we're gonna grow, we're gonna get bigger. But you can see here that if I click into this column, I have the ability to create different formulas however I want to. So it shows me all the columns that I can create formulas from and all the functions that are available to me. So if you guys are formula gurus and you want to go in here and kind of test out any of these functions to see if it makes sense for you, have at it. But the one that we've done today is just simply, we want to take the days, we want to take today, the date of hire, and divide it by 365. James, thank you. Hold on, Dave. Thank you so much. Let's do this. So what we'll see is that James, actually our formula guru on the chat, has informed me that we have to add in a leap year. So we can optimize this formula as we see fit. Now our tenure is optimized, and voila, there we go. Another thing we can do that's really cool here is hide columns all together. So similar to the other board where we set permissions, we can also hide things. So if we don't want to show anyone's employee ID or any of those salaries or when salary was last updated, we'll just go similar to here in the drop down. We'll go into hide column summary, and it'll show us that this information is only going to be viewable to the person that set these permissions. But let's say, I mean, we don't want to do that. Let's say we want to make this a private board altogether. We can go here to the three dots menu here at the right top hand corner. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different functions, guys, but the ones that's important to us right now is to change the board type. So we'll go here and then we'll change this to private. And now it's only going to be accessible to the people that are here in the little person icon. So now it's locked down. No one else can see it. Last board that I want to show you is our ops help desk. This is directly pulled from monday.com that we use here to get in contact with our ops team to say, hey, these are the requests that we have. Can you help us out? Anything from new requests. And you can see who the requester is. Any of the requests we have. Honey Nut Cheerios is probably our favorite cereal here. And when we're out of it, it's haywire. But you can see any new open requests. Also choose the priority and see the topic. And then the cool thing about this is that we've set up automation so that the proper person is notified anytime a topic changes. So if there's a person that's in charge of the kitchen or that Nomi's in charge of IT support, we've set up the statuses to work dynamically so that anytime that a topic changes to such and such, that proper channel is notified. And then anytime the status of the request changes to done, the notifier is, the requester is notified. So this pretty much pulls things full circle. No one's out of the loop. We're notified when things come in. We're notified when we are responsible for things, and the requester is also notified when things are done. And just to make sure you guys are aware, these boards will be sent out to you as well with the recording of the webinar so that you can take a look at it. And you can always view monday.com/stories to see this exact example and kind of take it and take it for your own account as well. All right. And these, just to inform you guys, these boards are super helpful for especially growing teams or teams that have big personalities or big companies already, to keep things organized. You can always keep track of any of the requests that are happening on the board through the activity log that's just showing this new pulse. And this pretty much helps you to track everything that's happening. And if you wanted to see over a course of time everything that you finished over the year or over the month, you can always use search everything to either search by hot tags or search by a time period to see everything that's come in for the team over a given either cross-board, a time, or etc. Awesome. Perfect. So last thing I want to show you guys is the dashboard. So I've created an HR dashboard for us today. And what I essentially want to show you guys is that dashboards are pretty much building blocks. It's a bunch of Legos. So if we have, if we're looking to see the hiring success over the year or total projects, new applicant status, we want to see at a high level of how many interviews we have of the month, or we just want to see how much stuff we've gotten done all together. There's a number of different widgets here at monday.com that we absolutely love and we absolutely want you to try out. So the way we got to these is by widgets. So if we go here to add widget, you'll see in the more that we have the ability to either use the recommended, the battery shows us all the projects at a glance. We can pull in any numbers about total budget or estimated budget. And we'll do that by, if we add it to the dashboard, we can choose those settings from each of those boards that we have available. So if we're having like 5 different boards that have different projects, or if I'm working with a team and we all have our own workflows, but we want to pull it together, we can pull in those boards here on the right hand side. And I'll just show you one. So we'll go to the board and then we'll choose which columns we want to include. So we'll say salary expectation. We can choose if we want to do the unit in dollars, and we'll also just say, we'll do average for this one. And then we can choose which groups are relevant to us in making this numbers widget. So for this one, we'll just pull them all in and we'll say, let's say average salary expectation, smiley face. And now we have a new widget on our board. Super easy, super quick. Another cool thing we can do that's really awesome with the batteries is that if I wanted to extend this to full screen real quick, I can see at a high level everything that is happening on each of those lower level boards that we worked on in the folders, guys. So if I wanted to see over the course of this year, how many offer letters we've sent out, I can see that I'm 15% of the way done with that. This is another widget that shows us how many offers we've sent, things that we're working on, or things we're just stuck on. I can pull in that information from those board levels and also change them here just from our battery to say, hey, we actually got that thing done. Let's mark it off. Now our percentage is a lot better, and we can see how much we've succeeded at. Another cool thing that I want to highlight is the llama farm, guys, and I'll highlight this before we go into Q&A. So llamas are essentially one of our favorite things at monday.com. You'll probably see it in all of our advertising, but this is essentially a way to see the progress across different boards across your account. So if you guys are working on a recruitment board, or you have like 3 recruitment boards, you can pull in all of your candidates in this board. You can see that the yellow pretty much symbolizes all the people we still need to get back to. And anytime we've sent out an offer letter or had a phone interview or etc., those llamas can turn green, and it pretty much gives the team some excitement, or a little excitement about how far we've gotten in that process, and that we can keep going and turn all of our llamas green. All right. Perfect. So this is pretty much the end of our, James, this is pretty much the end of our webinar in terms of things that I want to show you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for joining this webinar. You guys were an awesome crowd. And we hope to see you back for our next webinar coming up next week. So have a great day, guys.